Welcome. I'm Mayor Gary Sulls, and with me today is Councillor Tim Stapenhurst. Tim and I have just recently returned from the UBCM conference. The UBCM, or Union of BC Municipalities, initiates, monitors, interprets, and reacts to shifts in senior government that could impact our local governments and the communities they serve. UBCM provides a common voice for all local governments like us to speak with the province on key issues within their communities. Each year we take the opportunity to connect with other local governments and learn about our shared experiences and adopt a united position in provincial policy implementation. This allows us both a chance to learn and a chance to be heard. So Tim, what stood out for you in the conference?
Good morning, Gary. That's a great question. I think one of the things, a highlight for UBCM for me this year was seeing the 4 resolutions that I introduced at SILGA come to UBCM. I think as a first-term councillor, it was really an educational component for me to see the advocacy work its way through the different levels of advocacy. Those 4 resolutions, just to quickly recap, they were the funding for supporting the infrastructure upgrades due to Bill 44, addressing the homeless encampments on provincial land in city limits, increasing the BC Conservation Officers' capacity, and then highway speed limits. So those were the 4 resolutions that were passed at UBCM. And that was one of the highlights of UBCM for me. And I think the other key component or another key highlight of UBCM was the ability for council as a whole to work collectively and advocate for the community.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I think because we had all of council there this year and a couple staff members, we were able to split out who goes where and what got done sort of thing. So for you, you were able to do some of these resolutions, make sure that they passed. For other councillors, they were able to be present as well. But we also had 21 meetings with different ministries. And we never know what meetings we're going to get. So we apply for all of these meetings. And for some reason, we got all of our meetings. And which meant that we were hustling, 4 to 8 meetings a day. And some of these meetings, if they were with the minister, it was 15 minutes, like speed dating, as you know. And then if we were with the ministry, we're anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. And they might be back to back, or we might be running across, if we're in the minister's meeting, we're running across to another meeting in a different facility. So it was a lot of work. We got lots of things done. My mind this year, Tim, when we approached most ministries, there wasn't any money to give out to communities for the requests. What was your experience with that?
Yeah, I think the province is definitely facing some financial constraints, and I think that message was heard throughout all the different ministries and all the different staff meetings that we had. However, having said that, I do feel that we did come out relatively successful given the environment that we were working in. I think some of the success for me personally was the meeting with BC Transit. While not a ministry or a staff, I think that again, the continued advocacy to increase the BC Transit service in our community, seeing the working relationship between Director Black and the BC Transit, and hopefully increasing that level of service and maintaining that relationship moving forward. I think that was a really a good takeaway from those meetings. One of the other ones that I think was a really beneficial meeting was with the RCMP officer. Yeah. And I know that's something that you're passionate about is advocating for increased safety, increased resources, increased police officers in our community, and again, having the province step up and pay their equal share of that policing effort. And then I think lastly, the meeting with the emergency management and climate readiness, if I'm remembering the ministry's names correctly. We talked to them briefly about a large-scale incident command, a multi-agency incident command and a training exercise so that our community can be better prepared. I think this is something that we're seeing across the province and nationally, where we're seeing larger scale incidents occur. And I think that message puts us in a better position to be prepared as a community in the event that something like that does happen.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, the beauty of that meeting, Tim, we went in there asking for funding, and they said, yes, there is funding, but if we partner with some of our partners like CSRD to do that as a big scale scenario, have Interior Health, all those things or entities involved, then the funding increases. And it increases where it actually makes it well worth to do that, as we're seeing. Those big incidents across Canada where people are not necessarily trained for, don't expect, we need to train for. So seeing that come to fruition is great. The meeting that we had with ICBC and talking about our highways and advocating for basically a mountain rating for truck drivers, something that they hadn't thought about. So let's see where we go with that. But also they were saying that they can help us with safety in our own community with crossings and paying for some of those safety resources, whether it's marked crossings or maybe flashing lights or whatever. So, you know, I think we did well there, but it was really tiring for everyone as a whole. You're going through all of these meetings. We're 5 days down there, and everybody's struggling to get what they need for their community. So when we talk about you know, what was the best, it's building that network that we did. So a prime example is the Minister of Forests thanked us for what we're doing in our community to make sure that our people continue to work and that forestry is viable and sustainable. And so you sit on the RCFC board and you know some of the things that group's been doing to be sustainable. So how did you feel about that meeting?
Well,
Even though it was short.
yeah, I think that's a great segue. I mean, we know that I think roughly 25 to 30% of our population is either directly or indirectly employed through the forestry industry. So in order to have that positive working relationship with the ministry and ensure that there's the continued advocacy to support that industry, I think is paramount. And I think having had that meeting, you know, I'm reassured that there's going to be continued support for our community and ensure that is still a likely livelihood moving forward.
Yeah, thanks for that, because I agree. I think that they're hearing, they're seeing, and they know what we're doing in the community for the benefit of all of the community. And I think the way things are transpiring is a positive thing. So there are any other features of UBCM that you felt that was worthwhile for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there is honestly it's such a packed agenda, and I think it's really kind of a marathon, not a sprint. So trying to figure out, you know, how do you maximize your return on your time being spent down there to benefit the community, I think it is really at the forefront of my mind. So this year I didn't do a lot of the evening social activities, and I found that there was a lot more value for myself attending breakfasts and sitting with different members of different communities and talking to them. I had the opportunity to sit with people from Whistler during one breakfast and listening to some of the challenges that they're facing in their community and how they've solved some of their housing issues. So, you know, just trying to figure out, you know, how can you best use that time while also, you know, maintaining your own threshold for energy and resiliency in order to continue, because 5 days, 21 meetings or 24 meetings, it was a really long time, but I think it was time and money well spent.
Yeah, and it was good. And for me, it was similar. I didn't get to do the resolutions because I was busy doing the meetings, but I had private meetings with other mayors. So we did have a meeting with, starting Monday morning, with the Resort Community Collaborative, where 14 communities get together with their CAOs and the mayors and the minister, and talking about tourism and what's best for our community. And then I had a chance to sit with other mayors and talk about, you know, what's going in their community, but also find that there was funding available that I wasn't aware of, so that when we went into meetings, we knew which button to push to get that funding. So all in all, I think it was a real benefit for our community. And as we move forward, we'll be very cognizant about how we approach these meetings. So anyway, Tim, thanks. Thanks for being here. Thanks for talking about UBCM, and to the community, thanks for listening. If you have questions about UBCM, please email them to communications@revelstoke.ca. And thanks again for listening. If you have any questions about UBCM that you want to talk directly with individual councillors, by all means, reach out to them. They'd be more than willing to share their experience with you. So thank you again. We appreciate it. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.